Big question here on Morning Kickaround. It is Friday, May 16th. Big question here right now. We got excited at the beginning of the year. There's been some great scenes across USL, smaller markets, getting some really impressive numbers from AV Alta in California to Portland, Maine to Vermont and many others. Great stories. Big numbers at the for attendance at the beginning of the year, but we want to check in. Which way are the USL's numbers trending, and what does that mean for this push or this groundswell of club football across the country?
Yeah, we're going to grab from our friend John Morrissey, excuse me, who writes USL Tactics and Backheel covers USL, the USL show. He's doing a lot of stuff. Go support John Morrissey, who's been a guest on this program in the past. But we're going to grab his attendance numbers. He tracks these over on USLTactics.com. I hope he doesn't mind because we are going to try to send some traffic his way. What I'm interested more than like trying to decide, like, are these I get, how did you phrase the question, Rob? You kind of asked a question here about
Yeah,
these
what do
attendance
they mean?
numbers.
Are they
What do they
maintaining?
mean?
There was some initial excitement with the Pro Royal news, the Division One news, and some new pro teams popping up in cities that have some visible enthusiasm. But like, I wanted to check in on those numbers now. Are they maintaining at
Right.
that high level, or has that initial spring March time excitement waned since then?
We have to like throw out that massive caveat, which is that attendance numbers in American sports in particular are always a little dicey. You always kind of have to look at them with a jaundiced eye because teams don't generally report this many people came through the turnstiles. We counted every person who came into the building, and there were 12,316 people who came through the turnstiles on game day. What they tell you is we sold or we distributed, because it's sales plus distribution through other means, could be comps, could be we distributed 12,316 tickets. And that's the attendance number that they report. That's not that. And I don't know, like, does that matter for how we perceive the success or failure of these teams relative to their attendance numbers? Right. And I think we are psychologically so attached to attendance numbers as a barometer of where American soccer is. Like, I remember in the early days of doing my blog and various other blogs that existed at the time, some of your biggest posts in terms of traffic would be just posting attendance numbers. You would just post MLS attendance numbers for a given weekend, and that would be your biggest post of the week. And it was like, oh, people really care to see the numbers to decide whether or not we're being successful here, whether people care about this. It's why TV numbers now, and now it's TV numbers that people get all worked up about, right, Rob? They anytime MLS has a TV number and it's like, oh, they got a 1 share or whatever the rating is. Oh my God, the world's ending. Nobody cares about MLS, and maybe that's true on some level. But these numbers, when you look at them, and this is just the USL Championship that we're starting with, I don't know. Like, should I care more about the pure numbers, the average, the change? There are only what, outside of Oakland, who moved into the Coliseum and had a 20,000 attendance of 20,000 at a particular at their first game, I think their opening game, and Rhode Island, who has 109% growth. And I have to check on why that might be. It looks like
New
most of the
stadium for Rhode Island.
Okay, well, there you go. Most of these teams have seen actual downturns. Now, it's early, though, right? It's early, but downturns in their attendance. Should we panic about that? Like, should I allow myself to go, oh, my God, I can't believe that this is what's going on here?
This is one of the things that I really want to touch on with Herculez Gomez. Like, where is the positivity index going? Like, there are some really positive ones here. There's stadiums going up and obviously big exciting scenes at new places that we didn't necessarily think that soccer would take off and have its own culture. But at the same time, there's some drops. Like you said, there are some negative percentage numbers on this list. A lot of them like staples at the USL level. Like, what jumps out at me looking at these numbers, Louisville City down 13.3%. And I kind of picked them out because they are one of the flagships of USL Championship. They have, they're the most professionalized. They've got, the very modern and, high level stadium, and they've won championships, but their attendance is down. 13% is not nothing.
It's
But
not
oh,
nothing.
like to your point, attendance numbers are tricky. It's just like TV ratings and radio ratings. They mean a ton, but the reporting tools are smudgy.
Yeah, we don't tend to care about context too much when we look at these, or we don't take into account. We're not like, oh, this team, the weather was bad for a particular home game, or there was another big event in town that took people away from going to a game, or the team is bad. I mean, you know, we don't. I think there is this thing like, okay, we should expect attendance to go down when a team is bad, but when we look at these numbers and they get flattened out, we don't go, well, we can understand why the numbers are down because the team is bad. We just go, oh, that's not good. That's terrible. Why don't people support the team? And then we judge the fan base, or we judge the club's ability to sell itself, or we judge American soccer writ large on these attendance numbers. This is a terrible sign for American soccer that we have declined in attendance across the board in the USL Championship. And I don't know that I like those big grand proclamations here, right? At the same time, we are picking and choosing, because what we will do is go, oh, look how great it is that obviously Oakland moved into a bigger venue and had 20,000 people come to one game. But look how great it is that Oakland has seen so much growth. But then we don't necessarily want to focus too much, or we want to minimize maybe some of these other drops because they don't serve our narrative if we are backing USL to continue to grow. Does that make sense? I mean, again, it's sort of choosing positive over negative. And so and people are asking, is this year over year change based on that 4 to 5 games? I'm trusting John Morrissey here. So when he's doing year over year averages, I'm assuming that is like through 5 games, and not this is the drop compared to total attendance average last year. I don't know for sure, but that would be my guess, Rob.
Yeah, there is some interesting numbers here, and it is important to note here when you're kind of going line by line that only a couple of these teams have more than a 1 or 2 matches. There's some of these teams have 6 listed. One of the teams that's really having a positive 2025 in the USL League One is FC Naples. They've had 6 games reported. Their capacity, their new stadium is 4,600, and they've been averaging 4,200. And so that's a clear, positive success story. I know it's not a year over year because we don't have the last year's,
but that's the thing.
But so I guess maybe that's the way of the world right now. We can make anything look positive or negative because there's so many mixed bag type stories that that's like I said, I want to get that positive negative index. It's like, where are we? Are we in a good state or are we in a bad one?
Nicholas Murray, who would probably know, says that he believes these are the overall averages from the 2024 season. So the change year over year isn't compared, at this point last season or at the number of games they had at home last season. It's their total average. All right. So, okay. So that does not, that's not a completely accurate picture, because what we're saying here, and again, we're doing some math analysis, which is not, I'm not going to pretend is my strong suit, but what we're saying here is, Sacramento Republic isn't down 8.3% through 5 games. They're down 8.3% compared to last year. And, when we get into the summer, when school gets out, I just talked about how MLS kind of turned their marketing away from family friendly and move more towards passionate support as a way to sell their league. I don't think that means that it doesn't, the summer matches don't matter to MLS and their bottom line and game day revenue, because clearly they do. And, there's always the 4th of July game and the fireworks, and you bump up the average because you fill up the building with people who come to watch the fireworks show. I would imagine, and this is why that change year over year column matters, that a lot of these teams are going to see some of their better attendance numbers when the weather gets warmer as they move into the summer, Rob. I mean, some of these teams have hosted games in what is effectively winter in their locations. I mean, Detroit City can't possibly have played a game in weather that's been warmer than 70 or 70 degrees so far this year, is my guess. So
yeah, there's been a couple nice ones, but like usually the entire first third of the season in Detroit is like 50 degrees and raining and not a pleasant experience. And those numbers will definitely climb for Detroit as the weather improves there. Of these teams, I know we're talking about, combing through these numbers and really pinning down the hard facts behind them. But from what we're looking at here, are there any teams or cities that you maybe have a little bit of concern about?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think that I would I would say it's probably unfair to jump to those conclusions. I think I want to flip it the other way. Like I don't want to talk about concern because I think selling soccer at this level is difficult, right? And there's been some news around USL that maybe has generated some extra heat, and hopefully that turns into something that turns into growth beyond this. And I think for a lot of this, and maybe this is the positioning that USL is trying to execute. Hey, maybe we get the stadium deal we've been hoping for because the league is more interesting and there's more attention and Pro-Rel is coming and whatever it is. Maybe there's an influx of money. You know, we were just talking about Wrexham on Wednesday, and we may respond to some comments about what I said about Wrexham. And you know, I think we at least got one or two comments. It was like, where's the money coming in? The money that went to Wrexham, why isn't it coming into lower division soccer in America? And I think in some cases it is. Obviously not at that celebrity level, but what you want to see is like, okay, these are teams that have potential to become bigger in this. And I don't mean bigger in the sense like hopefully get into MLS one day, because that's not what every fan wants. But if we want to imagine a world where we have a fully grown out pyramid and we can do Pro-Rel and it works as an idea, not just within USL, but across the board, well, then we need these clubs to be established, right? We need them to feel permanent. And permanence comes from time. I mean, you can't replace that. That's just a fact. You just have to play season after season after season and be regular in people's lives. Like, oh, it's the spring again. Oh, I wonder if there's any soccer games we can go to this year. That matters just in terms of the consciousness of the people in your given area. But also what matters is, again, having a permanent home, having a place where people can go, oh, that's the soccer team stadium. And it's not moving. Next year, it's not going to be across town, or we're not going to, have to find another baseball stadium to build in or to play in. And some of these teams are working that out as they grow. And I think these attendance numbers are going to help feed that narrative that, hey, you should build a proper soccer stadium for these teams so that they can become permanent presences in their communities.
Early days for a lot of these teams, indeed. Moving forward with the program, if you are watching now and you haven't hit the subscribe button, come on now. It just takes one simple click of the mouse, click your finger, hit subscribe. Helps this show grow, helps open up this show to the American soccer audience at large and beyond. You can take a step further, join and become a member. Join the MK Ultras, a very modest sum, one level of membership, and that gets you early access to videos, priority commenting, and even bonus episodes when we hit our goals. Super chats. We got a great guest coming on in just a minute. Let's bump up. Let's get 5 to 10 super chats during our next segment, and we'll do a bonus segment at the end of the show. You can also find the show on social media at mkickground on X, Instagram, Blue Sky. Write us a note at morningkickground@gmail.com, or find us as a podcast by simply searching for Morning Kickground.